Hello and welcome to PJ's Movie Reviews. I have a special guest with me today. It's Sean from Trek on the Tube. How's it going, Sean?
Hi, how you doing? I'm doing fine. I'm
Well,
good.
that's great because today we're going to talk about two movies, Joker and El Camino. Two of the best movies of the year, in my opinion. So
As if they
let's.
were in any way related, but
It's funny how like October of 2019 became this month where just two movies just wholly satisfied me for the entire year. I was like, if this is all there is, then I'm good. For one thing, we didn't really we can go back and forth and talk between the Joker and El Camino if we want. This is like going to be an experimental kind of thing, right? But uh, El Camino, I had no idea that this movie was coming out less than a year ago.
I
It
think
was
that was the point though, wasn't it? I think they
yeah,
filmed this um in secret. That's the whole thing.
they did, and there was rumors about it, and people weren't sure, and then they saw the actors on set, and of course it became obvious later, and then the trailer came out, and the trailer just gave nothing away. I had no idea what was going on in the movie
That
based
first
on,
teaser.
yeah.
It was Skinny Pete, but then like that wasn't even in the movie though, wasn't it?
No, the interrogation scene, no.
Yeah.
I That might have been a deleted scene or something they just filmed for a teaser.
Mm.
But I like that. He's like, I'm not letting you put Jesse back in a cage.
He's like the MVP of the movie.
Oh my God, if you were in Jesse's situation, wouldn't you just love to have
It's like
friends like Badger and
that
Skinny
that
Pete?
guy. Yeah, I know.
And I love how Jesse's like, "Hey, why are you doing this, man?" He's like, "Well, you're my hero and shit." Like he's literally a celebrity. You know what I mean? Like he's a famous person at this point, and it's only been a year and a half since he hooked up
Infamous
with
technically, but
infamous, yes. So you just watched El Camino, right?
I watched it this morning.
I watched it 4:30 in the morning when it like first came
When
out.
like
Severely sleep deprived, and honestly, the, I was watching it and it was kind of boring, and I didn't quite understand the flashbacks at first, and I thought the Todd stuff was a little drawn out, but then it all comes together. Like you understand the reason.
mm,
There's this whole flashback where Todd and Jesse go to his apartment, and he has to dispose of the cleaning lady because she found some money, and you're like, why is this in here? And why is this taking up so much time in the movie? It's like, cool, I get it. It's very Breaking Bad-ish. It's very Gilligan-ish, but I didn't quite understand. And then you see later when he has that encounter with the fake cops, and that's one of the best scenes in the movie for sure. Where,
yeah, it also I don't know, is this so my memory of Breaking Bad is a kind of fuzzy, let's be honest, because it's been like what 6 years or something.
yeah,
So I watched the little recap that they did, which didn't help at all. Um, but from what I remember, it's Jesse that actually kills Todd in Breaking Bad. And he kills him like he strangles him with a belt or something.
yeah.
And so I feel like I don't know. Did they try to like kind of give a reason behind the way he killed him? Because
What?
that's how Todd got rid of like that's how he killed the cleaning lady.
Well, the interesting thing about Jesse's being captive by the neo Nazis, I guess, the Todd's group, his uncle Jack.
What other were they? No, they were bikers or something, weren't they? Or
They
just
Yeah, they were
skinheads or
skinheads, bikers, Nazis. Really bad dudes, right? Todd's uncle, and a lot of the guys had like swastikas on their tattooed on their necks and
okay.
stuff. And when they kidnapped Jesse, they tortured him. But the thing about the last season of the show is that you don't see a lot of it. It's
No, it's all
very,
about Walter, isn't it?
yeah, and when you go to Jesse, he has a full-grown beard and he has scars all over his face, and you understand that many things have happened to him that you did not see
Mm.
in the last season. And I love how the movie kind of fills in those gaps. And there's a torture scene in it that's very interesting, and has to do with what that fake cop who was a welder, uh, and how they have that bet to make Jesse run back and forth on the tether,
Mm.
which is can be very painful, I would think, right?
I would assume so. I
And
mean,
And
He's
then
throwing
when
himself on the ground and then he's all strapped up and I don't know. Yeah.
so it does fill in those gaps, and that it wasn't until like later in the film that those scenes had more meaning. But I was kind of, you know, a little impatient watching it in the first 20 to 30 minutes because I wasn't 100% sure, because this is the first movie that I've watched in a long time where I had no idea what the plot was, didn't pay any attention to, like, watched each trailer just once, didn't want to know anything, didn't want to know who was in it, had no idea Todd was in it, had no idea what was going to happen in the movie, and I love that.
Mm.
And Robert Forster plays the vacuum cleaner salesman. I had
He
no
died.
idea.
He died very recently. Passed away a few weeks ago now, maybe, or it was a few days.
He died the day the movie came out
Oh no.
on Netflix.
Okay.
I didn't know he was going to be in the movie either. So, uh,
He has a big role in the movie too. Well, he's big from Jackie Brown basically, isn't
Jackie
he?
Brown, Quentin
Okay.
Tarantino's Jackie Brown. Yeah,
Yeah, among other
he
things.
he's been in a lot of other things that have been like kind of under the radar. He's not been a leading man, but he's been
Mm.
in many things. Uh, I'm trying to look up what was his character's name. Robert Forster's Ed Galbraith,
Well,
a vacuum.
he's the cleaner, isn't he, or whatever?
He's
The
a vacuum repairman who specializes in relocating people running from the law and giving them new identities for a hefty fee.
well, he's the guy that takes care of Saul Goodman, isn't he?
Yeah,
Or is it someone else? No, it is.
he takes care of Walter, Saul Goodman, and he he's the guy in the show that picks up Jesse, and then uh, Jesse realizes that Walter had poisoned Brock, and he leaves.
Mm.
He goes after Saul, and then he goes after Walter.
Mm.
And he was the guy in the van, and then he shows up in the last few episodes uh, with Walter in the cabin, and Walter's desperate for friendship, and he like pays him $25,000 or something like that to play cards with him, and he's like, okay.
Oh God. All right, so you think this is one of the best movies of the year?
I think it's one of the best TV movies, and I'll explain, because I was baffled as to why they weren't releasing this like wide release theaters
Yeah.
in Canada, or at least in just North America. You know what I mean? Like, why not do that and make like a bit of money? Because a lot of people love watching Bad, and a lot of more people have watched it since it's been off the air. And you would think if they made it for a modest budget, that it would definitely be profitable.
So,
Look at Downton Abbey.
but that
Downton
I
Abbey.
think there's a significant difference between them both because I have seen Breaking Bad and I have seen El Camino. I haven't seen Downton Abbey the movie or the show.
Yeah.
From what I understand, the Downton Abbey movie can be seen by someone who has not seen the show
Oh yeah, yeah. I've heard.
because
I haven't seen it, but I've heard that. Yeah.
so it's basically the setting of the Downton Abbey movie is basically the Queen is coming to Downton Abbey. And so it's a self-contained kind of story in itself, where I suppose you pick up with characters that exist from the final seasons, and you might not know all of their backstory, what have you. But this movie, you can't watch it. I don't think you'd appreciate it without having seen Breaking Bad before that.
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the main reasons they do that long ass like pointless recap, and I disagree with what they did there. Because if somebody's just going to watch the movie who doesn't know Breaking Bad, don't spoil Breaking Bad for them. Let the, let them observe El Camino and surmise what might have happened, and then they become curious as to what really happened, and they actually go back and watch it.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, but when I watched it, I understood that okay, this is probably not the best thing to put in theaters.
I don't think so. I don't think it would have had like the mainstream success that maybe the Downton Abbey movie's been having.
Yeah.
Because the Downton Abbey movie, which like this was astonishing, but apparently all of the pre-sales were like, well, everything it was all sold out.
Yeah. Uh,
I don't think this would have got that much attention.
and some people argue that Aaron Paul is not a leading man uh, in films, and the absence of Bryan Cranston as a main character is probably another reason it went
Mm.
straight to Netflix.
Well, it
Uh,
helps the movie, I think, and it's like as a
yes,
creative project, as an
yeah,
artistic project, having Bryan Cranston to take like a back seat and having the story about Aaron Paul's Jesse, I think was the better choice.
yes, exactly.
We've
I
had
love.
what is it, 5 seasons or whatever, like of Breaking Bad and of Walter White, so this is good.
What was your favorite cameo from like a dead like character from the show?
I think Mike was nice.
Mike, yeah,
It opens up with Mike talking about what he would do, where he would go, and I mean, I've been watching Better Call Saul,
yeah,
and I know that a lot of people kind of quit after the first few episodes or like the first season, whatever. I find Better Call Saul even better than Breaking Bad personally. I just love it, and
yeah.
I love Mike in it, and so
Well,
I always like it when he comes back.
yeah, Mike is one of the best TV characters ever.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's like the Spock of the Breaking Bad world.
Oh, Bob Odenkirk is just so good as Saul Goodman too.
Oh
Um,
yeah, Bob Odenkirk as Saul Goodman is like 50% better in Better Call Saul than he ever was in Breaking Bad, even though he's really good in Breaking Bad.
mm, mm.
Yeah,
And he's not even at that. He's not even Saul Goodman yet, technically. Spoilers for Better Call Saul, but
yeah.
um, yeah. The movie ties in a lot to like the final season. So it is a lot of the like the neo-Nazi guys. It isn't so much about like the cartel and all of those characters. So you don't have any like kind of
Most of
fring
the
kind of
most. No, sorry,
no, you don't have
Frank.
any fring character
Yeah.
callbacks or Tuco or any of those. But so this is spoiler heavy. We can talk about basically anything, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the Walter White and Jesse Pinkman, we have the RV in the background. So this is from like basically the first season, right? Well, this is the very beginning of their operation, is it?
It's probably at the point in season one where like right after Walter shaves his head for the first time.
Yeah, okay.
It seems to be around that time.
It's Breaking Bad in many respects. I kind of follow the timeline with Walter's hair and his beard.
Yeah.
Um, kind of how it went in The Walking Dead with Rick. Um,
What do you think about the actors looking so different?
okay, so that was my beef. My beef
Yeah.
with was Jesse Plemons. Um,
He,
as in
he-
Todd.
yeah.
I, I
He gained 70 pounds in 2 days.
okay, I love the guy. And I mean, I saw him in Breaking Bad, and I thought he was excellent in Breaking Bad. And following Breaking Bad, I don't know if you remember this, but he was in like the second season of Fargo when that came out.
Yeah.
And
I never watched it.
I all of a sudden in Fargo, I don't mean to be mean to the guy, but all of a sudden he looked like 10 years or 15 years older, and he was a lot bigger.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe my eyes, thinking this is the same actor. I mean, I've saw like 2 years ago, I saw him, well, 3 years ago, whatever. I saw him in Breaking Bad, and I thought he was like a teenager, basically.
Yeah, and Jesse's supposed to be like 19 or 20, isn't he?
Yeah,
And
something
he's
like
like
that.
he looks and but you can understand all the meth and the torture and stuff could
Oh
probably
yeah,
have aged somebody. I mean, Skinny Pete looked like he was 50 like 6 years ago. So, and Badger doesn't look that different. I mean, but the
no, he
only thing
doesn't change.
it's
Yeah,
like kind of
Skinny Pete's kind of attacked, isn't he? He's been through some shit.
oh yeah, yeah. He's a tweaker.
That would
Uh,
be my. I mean, if I were to really say something, I would have because apparently they so they filmed this in secret, and that's why they like Jesse Plemons couldn't undergo like some sort of
yeah.
I don't know, he couldn't just undergo some sort of massive weight loss or train or whatever.
And in all
Um,
fairness, his performance is really good and it's really well written and it's worth him being in it.
oh yeah, absolutely.
It does kind of take you out a little bit. That's all.
Yeah, that's it. It just takes you out a little bit, and at first it's a bit disconcerting. Then you have to kind of you get used to it. You're like, all right, it's just him.
It's like Will Smith in Aladdin. It's like, okay, I'll get used to this.
And it turns out he's the best thing in Aladdin.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. It's really underrated. I mean, I don't know if it's underrated, but a lot of people thought it was going to be crap based on the CGI, but it turned out to be okay.
Well, it turns out it's probably the my favorite of the like Disney live actions.
Mine as well, yes.
I mean, that's not a
Lion King
hype
is okay.
thing. I haven't seen The Lion King yet. It's not. I refuse to go and see it. It's just. Is that a movie with just basically a different, like a different skin on it?
Basically,
Okay.
there are some differences, but
Mm,
it's lesser in some ways and better in others.
okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
So that it kind of pulled me out a bit, a little, seeing Todd kind of. He looks a lot older. He just looks. I mean, it's been what, 6 years since Breaking Bad. It looks like it's been 6 years since Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, Mike was a bit older, but it's not significant, in that sense.
Uh,
They tried to work on Aaron Paul a bit. Like he has
y-
the scars, and then when he's younger, he doesn't.
yeah. I love the cameo from Kristen Ritter as Jane. Is it Jane?
You're talking about
His girlfriend from
yeah,
season.
you're talking about what
She,
Jessica
she,
Jones basically.
she choked on her own vomit,
Yeah.
and and Walter White in the second last episode or third last episode says to Jesse, he's like, "I watched Jane die," and the look on Jesse's face, like, you sick bastard. But anyway, Walter makes up for it by rescuing him later. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, this Walter White's a very conflicting character because he technically, I'm gonna say he kills it, right?
yeah,
But he always does it out of this kind of unconventional love that he has for Pinkman.
hmm
He genuinely always wants to protect him, and even the scene that he has in the movie, it's all about, he wants him to go to college, do something with your life, and he's always
yeah,
looking out for him
yeah. Uh,
in a strange way.
what did you think of the climax of the film? Him just going there and just asking for a favor, asking for money. How did you think that was going to play out? I had no idea what was going to happen, but what happened was typical. It was, you know, what it was like? It was like Jesse was finally becoming Walt.
Maybe that's the mirror that they tried to do.
I'm like
Maybe it
that was
is.
such a Walt thing to do. Like the
I
confidence
I
and the
I
boldness. Yeah,
I
go ahead.
flashed my mouse over the screen at that point because I was kind of questioning. I was like, is this the climax of the film? So like before the shootout begins, when he goes in and asks for the favor,
Yeah,
I
that's the big moment,
yeah,
isn't it?
I flashed my mouse over the screen because I'm thinking, is this the climax, or is he just gonna get the money and then leave, and then there's gonna be like something else happening? But no, that was it. Um, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a little strange of the guy to ask for like an old west shootout.
Uh, I will direct you to a Watch Mojo video about the top 10 Breaking Bad, the El Camino
Okay.
moments in the film El Camino. Uh, and it gives a little more context to that scene because the guy is extremely high on coke, and you can tell by his friends' reactions that this is not something he would normally do. He's really jacked the fuck up. So,
Okay.
and that it's written so well because sometimes people who are really messed up on, whatever, can do really messed up things. And it seems really odd that he would do that, right? This old style Western thing. And it's
Mm,
funny. And I love how Jesse breaks into his parents' house and he holds up one gun and then he holds up the other. But then you only see the one gun, right? So you're like,
mm.
I never even questioned where's the other gun. And then it's like, oh yeah, it was in his pocket.
Okay.
That was,
I knew he was gonna shoot them with the other gun.
oh, I didn't expect that.
I saw him pick up the two guns, and not in one moment did I think he's just gonna take one. I thought, all right, he's just taking two guns. I don't know enough about guns to know which one is more effective than the other. I knew
Yeah.
one of them looked old. Um, but yeah, I thought absolutely he's gonna shoot him with the other gun.
I've seen that somewhere in some Western or somewhere else where someone has the gun under their clothes and they shoot it and then their clothes are on fire
Yeah,
or
dude,
something
you're
like
on
that.
fire as he leaves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was good. And then he just blows the place up, and that's the big like explodo moment in the movie. Like they gotta have that at some point, right?
So being a Trekkie, I'm going to relate this to Star Trek.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that this is the Star Trek insurrection of the Breaking Bad universe. And
Really?
that may seem mean, but I mean, Star Trek Insurrection is I love it and I love that it exists because it's like a big two-part episode. It's a
Yeah.
good episode, but it's not necessarily what I would it doesn't live up to like the standards of an actual movie, I suppose. And this
Yeah.
kind of feels the same to me. I love that we have this and I love it feels great, but it kind of feels like a two-part epilogue.
It is. It feels very much, and it's a very good VOD. Video on
Mm,
demand is, and streaming is just a thing now where high quality movies can come out. And I look at The Irishman, which people praise
mm.
uh, at this point, and it's almost 3.5 hours long. You can't imagine many people are going to have the patience to sit through that in the theater. And with streaming, if you can just you got to go and do something or use the washroom, you do whatever. You can just pause it. You don't have to sit down and watch. You can watch it in segments if you want. Like
Well,
you can
yeah, I
absorb
mean,
it. You can absorb it any way possible, any way you want. And uh, movies are like El Camino, and I haven't seen The Irishman, but uh, some movies are just suited for streaming, and I know I call them like really great TV movies. It seems like kind of a diss, but I actually mean that as a compliment because when I grew up, TV movies were absolutely garbage.
they
So,
were.
yeah,
And I think they still are a lot of TV movies that come
yeah,
out that are
I,
just. But I think okay, so there was a big debate about Roma, which I have not seen, but it was a Netflix movie. So it was a VOD movie that came out, and it was nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars.
yeah.
And so there was a big debate about that. It's like, should it be allowed? Because we've never like, it's it's not a theatrical release, and
Well, it
I
was, but the rules are that if Netflix puts out a film and they have it screening in Los Angeles and New York for a certain amount of time, it qualifies.
oh, so did it qualify?
Roma
So
qualify.
okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, well.
Roma was nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. But I didn't know it was released in Los Angeles and New York. All right, so my point is, I wanted to say that.
Very limited release. They did the same thing with El Camino. They released it in Los Angeles and New York,
Oh,
and certain theaters across the states. I'm not sure which, and they didn't release it in Canada at all.
mm, okay.
Yeah,
I think there should be a video on demand, like a VOD kind of
category.
category now. I think it's gotten to that point where because without a doubt, I'm sure that CBS and Amazon are going to start releasing Star Trek movies. I'm pretty sure that like just we're gonna get all sorts of Disney Plus they've already got like live action Lady and the Tramp. They're doing a
Yeah,
reboot of Home Alone. They've got movies that are coming out on Disney Plus.
yeah,
Um, and I feel like there absolutely needs to be a category now for video on demand films.
yeah. And it really does. The movie, like you said, really just serves as a great epilogue to the series because when the show ends, the very last shot of the show is Jesse screaming, as he's driving
Driving
away,
through the barrier or whatever.
and they duplicate that shot almost perfectly uh, in the movie, right? And they pick up right from where that leaves off, and then he goes to Badger and Skinny Pete's house. But there's a scene in Breaking Bad where Jesse's about to leave for the first time, but he doesn't, and he uh, Saul tells him he's going to Alaska, or
Mm.
and he's like, "Yeah, Alaska," as if Mike suggested that. And you only understand that when you watch El Camino in the flashback, right? Maybe Mike suggested to Saul that, if Jesse's going to go anywhere, you send him to Alaska, or something like that, right?
Mm.
And what I loved about the movie is that I always wanted Jesse, like since 6 years ago, I always wanted Jesse to end up in Alaska. Like when he escaped, I'm like, what's he gonna do? Where's he gonna go? He's going to Alaska, just as like a
Mm.
thing, right? And then that's where he ends up at the very end of the movie. And I love the very last shot where it's an exact mirror to the very last shot of the series, where it was Jesse driving away frantically screaming, and now the last shot of the movie is Jesse driving very calmly, big smile on his face, going to start a new life.
Mm.
And honestly, I wouldn't be against exploring a mundane series about Jesse Pinkman in Alaska that has nothing to do with crime. Has it's just about this guy living a normal life with his kooky friends and new family and all this stuff.
Well, this
And
is the thing. The team behind Breaking Bad universe of Vince Gilligan and friends.
yeah,
They've basically proven to us with Better Call Saul that they can make like one of the best shows on TV, but it's about nothing.
essentially, yeah. It's just
I
a,
mean,
it's
nothing
just about
happens.
it's just about a character transforming into something else.
Mm.
And you see his journey and the journey of, like, the supporting characters like Mike and Gus, and how it all ties into Breaking Bad. And I can't wait to see the next season of Better Call Saul. Cannot
Mm.
wait.
Apparently, Aaron Paul wants to do a cameo in there, so we
Yeah,
might get a Jesse Pinkman, just a mention or a cameo in Better Call Saul. I'm kind of
hopefully.
surprised they haven't got Walter White in there yet.
It's tricky because he's not at that point. He's
No,
not.
but I mean, he's still a teacher.
Yeah, you could have him walk by in the background or something, or just having dinner with his family at Gus Fring's chicken place or something. Before they ever knew that Gus Fring was a,
Oh, that's very
a,
true.
a kingpin.
That's very true.
So uh, we're gonna wrap up this one. I think we said all we can say about El Camino. I don't give numerical scores. I just say, like, would you not recommend, or strongly recommend people watch, and why?
Well, this is a peculiar one, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
I guess I would strongly recommend it if you're a Breaking Bad fan.
yeah. I would,
Um,
yeah,
because it's basically, I'm not gonna say it's the conclusion to the entire Breaking Bad story, but it does help conclude at least Jesse Pinkman's story, and you kind of get more information about what happened to him.
yeah. So I'm really on your page there, because I wouldn't recommend it to somebody who hasn't seen Breaking Bad. I would just say, if you're interested, watch it anyway, and then go back and watch Breaking Bad, or just watch Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And in Canada here, we have Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad on Netflix, so there's a whole Breaking Bad universe to explore.
Mm.
So yeah, uh, let's get into the Joker real quick. I know it's probably going a bit longer than I planned, but this is a good conversation so far. I'm really enjoying this. It's set in 1981. It's directed by Todd Phillips,
Another
who,
Todd.
who was a comedic director, and he's kind of quit comedy now because he says it's become too woke.
Yeah,
And
he
it's
got a bit of backlash for that, but
yeah, and I understand he had a significant degree of creative freedom with this movie, right? That him and Joaquin Phoenix were very collaborative and even confrontational at some points. There was a deleted scene where they showed on Jimmy Kimmel or some show where
oh yes, I remember that.
where Joaquin Phoenix is getting annoyed at the lighting guy or some guy because he keeps talking or something while he's trying to get into character.
Mm.
And it's a very intense movie, and you can tell, like, you can so tell that uh, they took this so seriously, and it's so dark and disturbing at times, and they go places that I really understand why certain people are uncomfortable and will walk away from this movie saying, no, I didn't like that. But it's masterful in so many ways: the cinematography, the acting, the writing, the direction, the color palette. I'm colorblind, and I see certain colors differently than most people.
Oh,
And
really?
and I find color grading in movies is very noticeable for me. It looks off, like a lot of movies color
How do you
wise.
feel about Star Trek Discovery?
It's blue, 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 blue.
Okay.
It's so blue. It's a saturation of blue that's
It is.
beyond reason. Uh, however, I must say, when they get on the Enterprise, when they show Enterprise and the uniforms and that, it becomes a little more. I love the candy colors in Star Trek. You know, the original.
Mm.
You know the. It stands out more for me than rather this grayish bluish dull color. But the color palette in Joker, it's kind of it's sepia and it feels very much like the 80s New York, and it's during a garbage strike, so there's garbage piled up everywhere, and
It
it
feels so Gotham, doesn't it?
yes,
I mean, you can. It feels very Gotham. Um, I don't know how to put it. It's like it's 80s New York, I suppose. But then there's an extra grain added to it.
yeah, it's rife with crime, and the population is just they're they're suffering, and Arthur is one of these victims of the modern age. you know,
Mm.
he's just he's talking to a social worker, and he has this obviously he has this disorder where he laughs whenever he's nervous, and this obviously becomes a problem for him at certain points in the film. But that opening scene where he's just laughing uncomfortably for like, I don't know, 30, 40 seconds, it seems like an eternity. And it's designed to make you like cringe, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's effective. It is very effective. And then it shows the shot of the social worker just looking at him like, yeah. And you understand, right? What did you think of Joaquin Phoenix's performance?
Oh well, it's superb. I think everyone's said that by now. It's absolutely amazing. Um, I don't know. I really didn't know where they were going to go with this.
Yeah.
Um, be it like the movie in general, like the entire plot or the character itself. And we've seen many live action iterations of the Joker at this point.
Yeah.
Um, and so everyone keeps on coming back to Heath Ledger, but I mean, in many respects, I think all of the Jokers that we've seen on screen because they're all very different.
Yeah.
I even like the Jared Leto Joker. I know it got a lot of crap, but I like the idea, like based on the fact that it's probably a Robin that became Joker.
Yeah.
I like that he's trying so hard to be a gangster,
Yeah.
but he's just not there yet. He's just trying so hard, and I like that idea. But this was something else, really.
I even like Cesar Romero's Joker from 1966 Batman.
Hey, for what it is, it's a
It-
'60s campy movie, right?
yeah.
But
Um, yeah.
it's really not the worst Batman movie out there. um, yeah, no, I like them all. This performance was absolutely fantastic, and I don't know how he does it because this is really a movie about it. It's about Joker, and we only have Phoenix on screen basically. It's just everything is from his perspective. Like we just see him all the time.
Yeah.
If there's another character, the chances are they're interacting with him, or he's in the
Uh,
scene.
The Zazie Beetz character, Sophie,
Mm.
uh, she turns out to be a mad. Well, his positive interactions with her, where he's like on dates and she's comforting him in the hospital and stuff.
I don't
Apparently,
get fo-
none of that happened.
I don't get
So
fooled by movies that often now, simply because we're so used to seeing so many movies that pull these kind of tricks. I didn't see that coming.
yeah,
I was,
I was dumbfounded when he was in her apartment,
and
and
she's
she's
like,
like
"Who the hell are
she's
you?
really
Or what are
scared,
you doing in
and
my apartment?"
well, she knows who he is. She goes,
Yeah.
"You're Arthur, right?" And it's like, "But what you don't know him?" And it's like, "What's going on?" Oh,
Oh my
wait.
goodness. Yeah.
He and then you start thinking back, like, was everything what was real and what wasn't? Like, were other things fake? And then obviously there are some like there's a fantasy where he's at the Murray Franklin show and Murray Franklin invites him down and he says, "I wish I had a son like you," and he hugs him. Obviously that's a fantasy when he's watching the show with his mother and he
Hmm.
has that little. So I'd like to go back. I've only seen it once. We've both only seen it once last week in our separate parts of Canada, and I'd like to go back and see what I missed because I'm sure I've missed a few things. But it's such an engaging movie, and it really is. It really does deal with. I don't think people really understand it. It really does address uh, severe childhood trauma,
Well,
He not only
there's a lot of social commentary
oh yeah,
in the way that society or the system or simply like us as people, we we're part of a problem of non-help, I suppose.
yeah.
For these people that have psychological like disorders or maybe just problems.
There is never enough, especially in I don't know. I live in Newfoundland, and there is definitely not enough done here to help people with mental disabilities.
Mm.
Like I've had a few encounters with people just on the streets at random, just off their meds or something, schizophrenic, and just going at you like la, 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 get away from me. This doesn't happen very often, but I mean, and it's like, why isn't somebody helping this person? It's like,
Mm.
and I understand that people are sensitive about this movie because of shootings and whatnot. Uh, and there was concern that people were going to do things in a theater and all this, and obviously in the dark web, trolls are going to be saying like sick shit anyway, right? Like, obviously, like
Yeah, I don't think this movie
that's
will
gonna,
provoke any kind of. I mean, it's not as if in the United States they didn't have shootings before this movie came out.
and
Um,
it's
I don't
almost
think
as if
it's.
it's almost as if some people have made this movie out to be like, when you sit down and watch it, you're gonna be like, I want to be like him. I've heard a lot of people say it glamorizes violence. The violence is specifically designed to be shocking. It's designed to make you say, "Oh no, 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 Arthur, no, Arthur." You know what I
Mm.
mean? It's like you. I understand some people are
You're
going to
rooting for the guy to not become the Joker,
exactly,
which is
and
strange
and
because that's not.
if you truly pay attention to the movie, I think that's what it's meant to convey. And I think some people will misinterpret that and say, well, some people might think it's might root for him to do more killing. But when he shoots Robert De Niro at the end of that movie, uh,
Which I
when he
totally
says,
like.
do you want to know what happens when you blah 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 blah? You get what you fucking deserve," and he shoots him. That's intense. My heart was pounding at that point,
Mm.
and movies very rarely do that to me.
And then he
Bill,
grabs the camera.
yes, so much, so Jokerish, so classic Joker, and the fact that it's set in 1981 gives it that old school vibe that they always try to do with Gotham. They
Mm.
make it try to always feel like out of time, but they set it in modern times, and it never makes any sense. But to set it back in, the early 80s,
Yeah.
everything looks the way it kind of would look in a cartoon or a comic. You know what I mean?
Mm.
A stylized thing where they're trying to be out of time, but it's very appropriate to the time. The production design, I think this movie should win all the awards at the Academy Awards. Production design, costume design, makeup design. I think it
It
should
will
sweep
win
it.
quite a few,
I hope
if I'm
so.
honest. So Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was very, very, very good, or at least I enjoyed it very much. And I feel like Brad Pitt deserves an award for something in that.
He's going to
Uh,
be competing with Phoenix for sure.
So I don't know how that works. Is DiCaprio or is it Brad Pitt that gets like lead or main in that movie, or is it both?
I've not seen it, so I'm not
Okay,
sure.
so
I know
I don't.
I've heard nothing but praise about Brad Pitt. I've heard like nothing about Leonardo DiCaprio. They're like,
Okay,
all
well,
Brad Pitt. Yeah.
oh, well, there you go. Well, no, but Brad Pitt's he was his character and his acting is stand out for me in that movie, and I don't know how it works if he's going to get supporting or if he's going to get main, or lead, whatever they call it. But if it is lead, he's definitely going up against Hogan Phoenix.
Do you remember I said in a that DC group on Twitter that I read all the spoilers for Joker? They came out very early, and I
Oh, that's
was like,
right.
it was a couple of months after these old spoilers came out that I read them, thinking, well, this is obviously going to be bullshit. I want to compare this fake synopsis to the real one when I see the movie,
Mm.
and it turns out I knew everything that was coming. And not thematically, not the emotions, not the what people were going to say or
But the
do in the movie,
punches.
but I knew all about the Wayne stuff. I knew that Arthur was going to find out that his mother was going to tell him that he was uh, Thomas Wayne's son.
Mm.
That he was going to find out he was going to. This was all in the spoiler synopsis thing that came out months before the movie, so a lot of people had access to this, right? And it was 100% right about stealing the files, finding out that he was abused and that he was adopted. He kills his mother. The whole train thing, like it was beat for beat. And this is a testament to the power of this movie that I knew what was coming at every turn, but I still enjoyed the hell out of it. I still thought it was the best thing I'd seen all year. And that says something.
That's insane. Because I came in, I knew nothing more about the movie. It's basically this is DC doing standalone movies that are completely unrelated to the DC extended universe.
Yeah. Uh,
Um,
it didn't say anything about Zazie Beats, by the way, and it didn't say anything about the ending. Uh, it said that he was going to. It said that he was going to kill Murray Franklin, but I forgot all about that, and it actually says that in the fucking thing, and it was like, I, s- I, I'm never going to do that again, just in case like it affects. But it really, honestly, it did not affect my enjoyment of it. I forgot. Like when he's talking to Murray, I was like, obviously he's not going to kill himself, right? You know that because throughout the movie he's doing this miming where he's putting the gun up, and you understand that he's going to go on the show and he's going to kill himself. But I think even if I didn't know the spoilers, and I'm going to ask you, did you think he was really going to kill himself? And
I
did you
didn't
think he was
think
going to kill Murray?
I didn't think he was going to kill himself at some point. I literally, okay, I thought he was going to kill no one on the show, that he was going to
Oh,
kind of chicken out, or that he was going to maybe try and kill himself, but then, he doesn't feel like someone that's ready to kill himself. He doesn't feel like he's ready to take that step.
yeah.
So I
I,
didn't think he was going to kill himself, but I wasn't expecting him to, I don't know. It was a very tense moment. And then with the other guests on the couch, just shocked.
oh, when he comes out and he kisses that woman, that's hilarious. That's hit when he steps out onto that stage, he is full on, and it's only one scene. We actually only really you can count the the subway scene where he's running from the cops and he's like
Mm.
dancing on the stairs. You can count that too, but he is full on Batman era
Joker
Joker
at
for the
that point.
first
He's
time.
been presented as Joker, and he
Yeah,
steps on stage as the Joker.
yeah, that's
And then
something.
everything, basically, all of the violence from that point is just completely out of his control. Like he's become some sort of symbol, but he's not telling people to do this.
No.
He's
Uh,
just
There's a debate whether that scene where the at the very end when he's captured and the guys crash the cop car and they pull him out
mm,
and he stands up and they're all cheering and it's very surreal and he puts that smile on his face. Some people debate whether that actually really happened because he didn't really escape. He's still in an asylum, so it really adds this layer of his
okay. So the
character
way
where
I
like this
understand,
multiple choice thing.
I know that there's a lot of people that are trying to like make sense of the timeline in a sense, but I felt like the movie just went from beginning to end and it just advanced like I feel like the end scene where he's in the asylum.
Yeah.
He was simply just recaptured after
Yeah.
that whole
I
ambulance thing because it feels like he doesn't care because he grabs the TV, starts talking to the screen or talking to the camera,
Mm.
and you understand that following that the police captured him, so he probably just continued talking or like he stayed there.
Yeah.
He got captured, and then that happens. He puts the smile on his face, but I feel like just the police came, cleared it out, captured him again, and then that's it.
I thought the movie was going to end at 2 points where it didn't. I thought it was going to cut to black when he puts the blood smile on his face. I thought that was going to be it.
Mm.
That would have been a perfect ending, by the way. And I also thought it was going to end on the line where uh, he's laughing and the psychiatrist says, "What's so funny?" And he says, "Oh, you wouldn't get it.
No, you wouldn't understand. Yeah.
Cut. You wouldn't understand." And cut to black. Instead of walking out, and getting chased by kind of
But I
trying to
like the
end
Tom
on
and
trying to
Jerry
end
thing.
on a comedic. Yeah, I didn't. I I would have. Yeah, I thought that was like, yeah, okay, you're trying to end on a funny note, but I
Well, they're
feel
trying to
like
end on a
I
very
feel
joking note, aren't they?
a Joker note. Yeah, I guess, but I think him saying, "Ah, you wouldn't get it," or you know, something like that.
Mm.
Because what is he thinking about? Is he thinking about Thomas Wayne getting killed, or the whole thing with? the talk show, or what? What is he laughing about? And what wouldn't she get?
So did you find it necessary to have the whole Thomas Wayne and Bruce Wayne kind of Batman origin story like weaved into that?
It's it yeah, because it's you have to tie it some way to Batman,
Mm,
and they do it in a way where this story adds to his psychosis, like his mother being connected to the Waynes and then lying about, you know,
yeah.
uh, the infidelity and all this stuff. Thomas Wayne probably never even went near her. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
she was
She
probably
was just
obsessed.
insane.
She was clearly obsessed with him, and then developed this whole narrative. And she was actually delusional, and she had this boyfriend after she adopted Arthur that severely abused him, and the lie of the Thomas Wayne lie on top of the revelation that he was severely tortured as a child is just another nail in the coffin to his like psychosis, right? So it's essential for the story.
Mm.
Is it necessary? Not really. You could have said he was the son of somebody else, but why not Thomas Wayne? Why not a
Well,
billionaire?
it
And the
sets up
fact
Thomas
that
Wayne as the villain in this movie, basically.
yes, and I love Thomas. There's only one scene, significant scene of dialogue with Thomas Wayne where he's in the bathroom
Well,
with
he
Arthur.
beats him down eventually.
You totally understand where Thomas Wayne is coming from. I don't see him as a villain at all, but I see him as villainized by the characters in the movie. Like there's a big disparity between the rich and the poor in Gotham. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm. Mm.
and Thomas Wayne is, they think he's a part of the problem. He's a controversial figure. I wouldn't say he's like Trump. He's not like Trump, but he's like that '80s kind of corrupt business guy. He's probably not as white bread as we thought, and I like that interpretation of him. But when he's telling Arthur, like, he reveals the truth to Arthur, and he's very blunt, and he pulls no punches, and he actually does punch him. But I love that scene. I'm like, yeah, that's probably one of the best interpretations of Thomas Wayne, or the most interesting I've ever seen. And how the Waynes die at the end fits totally into what's happening and makes total sense.
Yeah,
And
I
I love
actually
how they're
quite
going to see.
enjoyed how they tied that in. To be
I love
honest,
how they're going to see. So, I love how they're going to see Zorro the Gay Blade, which came out in 1981. So yeah, that's great. Go ahead.
I didn't know that. No, I was asking about that because I think that some people online they didn't quite need the Thomas Wayne kind of Bruce Wayne thing. But I liked it. I liked the fact that it kind of gives us like I don't know, it adds a layer to his parents' death rather than just how some crook decided to shoot them and then rob them in the street. It was all, it turns out it
Yeah,
was all connected to this greater kind of
yeah.
I don't know,
And
craziness that was going on in the city at that point.
I love how he says, "Hey Wayne, you get what you fucking deserve." Just what he just watched the show or something. He's like, Arthur just said that, and now we're gonna
Mm,
go and kill in Arthur's name, basically. And that's and it's a great Batman origin too, even though there's no Batman origin here. But you can surmise that Batman's gonna have a grudge against the Joker. There's a reason. There's a
yeah.
significant reason for why Batman and the Joker are mortal enemies later on, and they set that up perfectly. And too bad there's not going to be a lead into Batman or anything. But who knows? Maybe there could be two more Joker movies.
So
And by
do
the
you
time
want a
that
sequel to this?
I don't, I could take it or leave it. This could be a perfect standalone thing, and I
And
wouldn't
do
care.
you want other standalone movies? Like, do you want a deep dive into Bane or a deep dive into like Mr. Freeze or something?
No. Joker's unique, I think, in that he's one of the most iconic. He is the most iconic comic book villain of all time, aside
I would
from,
say.
I don't know, Lex Luthor. And some people joked about how now DC is going to do a serious, dark Lex Luthor movie. I was like, no, nobody would see that. Nobody.
Yeah,
But
I don't feel
But
like.
Joker's a different story altogether.
Well, I think Joker has more layer because like Zod is pretty famous too, but you couldn't. I don't think he has enough depth to him.
Who?
Zod.
Who? Oh, Zod. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They no Zod's schmod.
Well,
Yeah,
okay. Well, he's never been good on
the
screen.
original actor the original actor who played him was the greatest. He's like, what's one of his best lines in that movie? He's like, "Why do you speak to me this way when you know I will kill you for it?" That actor is so good as Zod, and then you see other people try to play Zod, and it's like, nah, like Michael Shannon. It's like, I get it, I get your Zod, but you're not Zod, man.
What you're trying to
It's
do.
like I look at Chris Pine. It's like, I get that you're Kirk, but you're not Kirk, man. But
To be fair,
Joaquin
Chris
Phoenix,
Pine tries to be William Shatner. I feel
yeah,
more than he tries to be Kirk.
exactly. But Joaquin Phoenix, just like Heath Ledger, just like Jack Nicholson, there's an evolution. I'll discount uh, what's his name, Jared Leto. It's interesting for what it is, and I actually kind of like Suicide Squad. But look at it's a progression. Like each major performance of the Joker seems to get better and better.
Mm.
So you have Jack Nicholson, which when I was a kid, I was like, this is the pinnacle. Nobody can beat this guy as the Joker. He's like the Joker because I was aware of Cesar Romero at the time when I was a kid, and I had this separation between the two. Like I thought Batman, 60s Batman was like stupid Batman, what I would call as a kid, and movie Batman was serious Batman until Batman Forever and Batman and Robin.
Oh yeah.
But then you had
Uh-huh.
Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger took it to a whole nother level, and you're like, holy shit, this guy deserves an Academy Award, and boom, he got it. And rest in peace. And then you get Joaquin Phoenix, and you're like, well, what's he gonna do with it? I don't know. I was really not sure. And then I
I
watched it. I
feel
was
like they
like,
have to
holy
leave the
shit.
character alone for a while now.
Yeah, really. Do you ever see
Um,
Jerome? You ever see Jerome in Gotham?
that
Oh,
was amazing. Okay,
really?
so I managed to live through all 5 seasons of Gotham,
Yeah.
and that's not a show that I would recommend to anyone. It became more of a parody of the Batman universe than anything else.
Yeah.
But I absolutely loved what's his name? Cameron Monaghan, I think it is. The actor's name. I absolutely loved his performance throughout the
As
whole show.
as Bruce?
No, 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 not as Bruce, but like um,
Alfred?
no, the Joker
Oh, the
character.
Joe. Oh, yeah, the guy from Shameless. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Cameron. Yeah, that's it. Cameron Monaghan.
yeah,
Um, because he
yeah,
plays at first he plays Jerome
yeah,
Valeska, which gets disfigured, etc., etc. And eventually he plays his brother Jeremiah,
yeah.
and so one of the two eventually becomes the Joker in there. And
I watched Gotham all the way through, but it's kind of painful.
well,
I
Gotham
I I,
itself
I
isn't
like it.
that
And
good.
I like it, and I don't.
Well, Gotham itself is not that good, but I found that every time we saw Jerome and or Jeremiah on screen, so every time we saw this kind of portrayal of Joker that they were doing, I found that it was a standout. It
Yeah.
really was.
What did you think of Alfred Pennyworth in this movie?
I don't know. It was odd. He didn't feel like an Alfred to me.
No, it was like
I mean,
yeah,
they
it's
could have
weird.
told me he was. They could have told me he was Thomas Wayne coming to protect his son at the gate, and I would have been like, all right, this is Thomas Wayne. But no, he was Alfred.
Yeah.
And you understand that it's Alfred very quickly, but it's kind of like I don't know. I didn't didn't feel very Alfred to me. But then
What
I don't like the Alfred that we see in Batman v Superman either.
what's his name? Villain from Die Hard 3, Jeremy Irons.
Uh, yeah, I'm not sold on that either.
I like him as Alfred. I just don't think what the movies that he's those. I think Ben Affleck is good as Batman. I just think the movies are very good. That if you put Jeremy Irons in a good Batman movie and Ben Affleck in a good Batman movie, it might be something. I'm interested to see this new The Batman starring Robert Pattinson
Yeah,
and
Zoe Kravitz one.
Zoe Kravitz. I'm gonna see. I want to see if they're gonna take this in that direction and what era it might be set in. Because you know what? They could technically say that this new Batman is not connected to this Joker movie in any way whatsoever, right?
Mm.
However, if they set it in say 1991, you could surmise that the events of Joker happened within that universe. They don't have to reference. They don't have to. address it in any way. The Joker's locked up; he's away. They could say the Joker's, in Arkham under heavy, you know. Uh,
Well, they are gonna be unrelated though officially.
that's what I'm saying officially, but you know how tricky these people can be. Like you have this. Okay, the Joker's made what? I don't know, almost 600
Almost
million
600 million at this point. Yeah.
on a budget of less than 100 million. Like that's fantastic. And I've always said that you could do a Batman movie for 100 million, man. Batman doesn't need to be, CGI everywhere. Like the one thing I hated about Batman v Superman was Zack Snyder's obsession with just cartoon CGI everywhere.
Well, Sucker Punch. Um,
Ugh.
all right. So the crazy thing is, Batman. Although we all know the iconic kind of mask and cape and all of his equipment,
Yeah.
you basically don't even need that. You could literally have this very very kind of Daredevil style, where you just have a guy wearing some black, just some black clothes running around. If you want to do like a full-blown origin story from the beginning, before he even gets his tech or before he gets anything else, you could have him just in a homemade suit running around. Still make it very gritty, very dark, and that wouldn't cost a lot. So you don't even have to invest that much. You don't even need you don't need to start him off with a Batmobile.
Yeah, take you let this Joker movie be the blueprint for how they go forward with any DC movie. Not exactly being connected to the Joker, but taking a grittier friggin' like just conservative in terms of budget and production approach
I
and see
think
what
they're
happens.
gonna
Be more
do.
experimental.
I think they're gonna do that because this is like they released this under like DC Black or whatever it was.
Mhm.
So they're gonna have these
Release
kind of experimental movies, but I think they
release
want to keep
release the
that DC.
Batman under release Batman under the DC Black. And you know what? I wouldn't be against them saying, you know what, this new Batman movie, we're not going to worry about sequels. We're going to do what they did with the Joker. We're just going to make it what it is and not worry about like a franchise and the connections and all that and focus on the story and the character and not worry about a sequel. This obsession with setting up sequels in movies now works for like Marvel movies and certain things, but it's become a little tiresome. And we've had so many setups for things that are not going to happen, and if they do, they're very disappointing.
So
So
how do we all feel about so talking Batman and Joker specifically? I mean, at this point we have so Joker comes out, we have a Bruce Wayne and a Joker in this movie. In the DCEU, we have a Bruce Wayne and a Joker as well. Gotham just ended, and so that was active until like maybe last year. We also had a Bruce Wayne, we also had a Joker. Like all of these characters, they're all basically active characters, but in multiple universes at the same time. It's the same thing with Star Trek. We have basically I don't know how many Spocks going on at the same time.
yeah, that's tiresome as well.
It's a lot of the same characters coming back. I know that the different universes they can. I mean, we're gonna get a Batman and a Superman eventually, like in the Arrowverse. Well, we have a Superman already
Yeah,
in the Arrowverse. So they're doing Batwoman. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna have Batman come in at some point.
I'm dreading the day CW does a Batman show. Dreading the day. Don't play. I don't think they should let them ruin Batman. I mean, Batwoman. The first episode I got to admit of Batwoman was pretty good. I liked it. The second episode, not so much.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't know where the show's going. And that actress has suffered like significant physical injuries while making the show, so there's probably not going to be a season two.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she injured her spine or something. She
Oh,
was almost paralyzed.
God. Well, I mean, so she's doing her stunts herself, which is very respectable.
I suppose some of them. Yeah, I don't know about Oliver stunts, but some of them, a lot of. I mean, Stephen Amell, he's a very physical actor. I'm surprised
He
he
was a
hasn't.
stuntman, wasn't he? Like before he started acting, or am I mistaken?
I'm not sure, but he can take his licks, man. Like he does. He does a lot of his own stuff, and I'm surprised he hasn't been severely
Yeah,
injured.
well,
He
he's
has
better
been
at his
injured.
stunts than he is at his dialogue.
Yeah, he's not the best actor. But yeah. So would you recommend the Joker?
I would
Oh,
absolutely
Is it what?
recommend. It's a strong recommend, is what it is.
Yeah, I
No, I
strongly
think
recommend.
I understand that it can put people like some people can come out of the movie like kind of uneasy. Um, but I think that's its objective. its objective is to make you kind of you feel horrified at when there are killings, at what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, you feel good that he kills those three douchebags on the subway, but then you feel like then you reflect on yourself like, why do I shouldn't feel
Yeah.
I shouldn't feel this way. It's not a good thing that he killed these people because killing is not the solution.
It
But
deliberately put you in an awkward
it
position.
puts you in that awkward position, and I don't think it should be taken in the sense that it's justifying these killings or it's going to create it's going to give us the audience a reason to go out and kill. No, I think it's really just commentary.
Yeah. And what do you think? I mean, this is like a little bit of this is obviously just speculation, but and I know the Academy Awards aren't really taken seriously nowadays as they probably used to be. Uh, I would be severely surprised if the Academy kind of snubbed this film based on I mean, the top critics, it's only like 44% or something of top critics like the movie. And I'm surprised that so many people are kind of have this uh, weird reaction to it where they diss the movie because it makes them uncomfortable. When I'm like, that's the point. You gotta put yourself in the shoes of the character, and this argument that it's glamorizing is not there at all. You're meant to be shocked, and like I said, that scene where okay, we got to talk about this one scene. We're gonna wrap it up, but we got to talk about this one scene in the movie, and it's my favorite scene in the entire movie. I can't believe I didn't think of it until now, and I think I know what you're talking about.
Was it when he kills the guy in the apartment?
Yes, yes. When the dwarf and the big guy come into his
two
apartment,
friends, yeah. Well, the two colleagues from the clown job.
and he's got his hands pushed against the sides, and he's kind of twisting his head. That shot we saw in the trailer, with the white makeup, and he goes and locks the top latch, and immediately you're thinking about the short guy, right? Immediately, and so he stabs the guy.
I didn't think of it.
I was
It
like,
didn't come to me.
I didn't know that scene. That wasn't in the sport. I didn't know anything about that particular scene, so that was a surprise. That when the guys came over, I knew he was going to do something, but I didn't know what. So when he stabs the guy in the neck, and then he stabs him in the eye, and then he's bashing his head, and the little guy's like, Arthur, what are you doing? What are you doing? I was like, oh my God, no! And I wasn't saying it out loud, but in my head I was like, no, Arthur. I was like the little guy. I was like, no, what are you doing? But you're enjoying it in your sick little way, obviously. But
yeah, I didn't think about the little guy not being able to reach the friggin' lock or latch or whatever, like when he closed it.
Yeah, and then when Arthur's like sitting down and the guy kind of creeps around him and tries to, he can't reach the latch.
You believe Arthur though, because he says, "I'm not going to do anything to you," like, and then you're like, I believe you. You're not going to hurt him because you wanted to hurt the other guy because it's the other guy that put you in this position with the weapon. Yeah. And so this is personal. This is like a vendetta, a personal revenge here. But the other guy doesn't know that.
Yeah,
he doesn't know anything about that.
But when he's trying to reach the latch, it's like this weird unintentional comedy that's very nervous. It's like it's like a nervous kind of comedy, and I honestly didn't know if he was fucking with the dude and he was gonna let him go, or he was actually just gonna be like, I'm gonna let you go and then kill him. I didn't know myself what was gonna happen. And then he's like, you were the only one who was nice to me, and he gives him a kiss on the forehead and he lets him go. I was like, wow.
And then he just runs off like, fuck this place.
What an excellent scene.
Oh, absolutely.
One of the best scenes in any DC movie I've ever seen. So
people are I don't know. People are frustrating in the sense that they'll kind of blame this movie because it makes them feel uneasy. But then, I mean, thinking back to things like Requiem for a Dream, people praise that, and you can't feel more uneasy watching a movie like Requiem for a Dream is severely troubling.
And you know what? From my perspective, I've seen Requiem for a Dream, and I did not like it. But I found it's direct, like the way it was directed and the editing and just the style of the movie was very effective, and it did make me feel very uncomfortable, more than Joker did. And it's a movie I would never watch again, but it's to this day I watched it like I don't know how many years ago, but a long time ago. And there's
Okay.
things in that movie that very much still stand out in my mind. So in a sense, I don't like that movie like a lot of people. Some people don't like Joker, but I completely understand the masterful nature in which that movie was made, and it is a very well made movie, even though like I don't prefer to watch it. But however, I would watch Joker many more times because and you get the Taxi Driver and King of Comedy comparison, which we never talked about, but
Mm.
it's just an homage uh, to those movies, and I'm interested to see if Martin Scorsese has seen Joker, considering his comments on uh, Marvel movies. I don't know if he feels the same way about
I
other
would be
comic book
interested. Yeah,
movies.
I'd be interested to know like what he thinks about this one.
Yeah. All right. So we both strongly recommend Joker, and we both recommend El Camino as a good streaming movie to watch if you're a fan of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
So again, I want to thank Sean from Trek in the Tube. If you want to go and check out his channel, uh, really well researched Trek topics and news, latest Trek news. I also have a channel, but I won't plug that because it's not worth plugging because I don't do anything on most of my channels. So thank you, Sean, for joining me, and hope we can do more of these reviews in the future.